Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Windy City Radio, live from Chicago. And my name is Will, and joining us we have Alex.
Howdy.
We have Alex. We have Alex.
Hello.
And we have Alex.
Howdy.
All right, so this week we have many things on the docket to discuss. The first is the Supreme Court vacancy that came out the other day that Stephen Breyer is going to be stepping down. He is the oldest member of the court, and there is much speculation over who is going to replace him on the court. There are a couple potential choices. There's also there's a chance that Biden is going to select an African American woman as his replacement. There are a couple such as Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is also on Obama's short list for the Supreme Court back in 2016, and was actually confirmed by let's see. Yeah, was confirmed as a federal judge, I believe, by Manchin and Sinema, as recently also, and there's another one as well.
Also by the rest of the Senate.
And by the rest of the Senate as well. But some
Senate?
people are supposedly suggesting that they're potentially not going to support the nominee, which I don't believe that, really, that they're not going to support.
I think the left isn't going to support the nominee.
Really?
Yeah, I think that they're going to have trouble getting anyone through.
Yeah, they might.
So what's the time frame on this? Is Breyer stepping down immediately, or is he announced that he's stepping down at a future date? Like, is there a time crunch to get somebody else on the Supreme Court? Like, what's the logistics of all of this?
He's going to step down in 2025.
Let's see.
I mean, thinking ahead is pretty smart.
I think it's the end of the current term, or the current year, I guess.
Okay.
Of Supreme Court stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
What do
the
they
current
call
cycle.
that? Cycle? Is that what the word is? What's the technical, juridical term for that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but yeah, I would imagine it would be at the end of the whatever the current cycle is. Yeah, so
I think it's term. I think it's the term.
term is probably the word.
Sure.
So a lot of this is sort of future posturing for making sure that there's a full Supreme Court and not that there's a vacancy for a long stretch of time.
Yeah, basically, and there's speculation. Is the GOP going to try to obstruct it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
We
what
know
they're.
that. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
I don't-
Spoiler
they
alert.
already got rid of the Supreme Court filibuster thing, so you're just gonna have a somewhat moderate nominee probably, and then it'll pass. I don't know. I don't feel like it's gonna be a big thing.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's not like it's right before an election, so it's not like the left. It's not like they're going to try to block It's not like they're going to try to block a Democrat nominee or rush through a Republican nominee. Although, I mean, it is like close to a midterm, but I don't think they're going to try to. I don't think they'll be successful in delaying it past the midterm.
I think you have Manchin and Sinema here. I think their whole thing is just right now it seems like is really just trying to keep that filibuster going and maintain their own power within legislation. I think they've kind of proven that for as far as court nominees go, they're happy to just let that be a win for the party. I don't really think that they're going to be the ones blocking this.
Right.
In any case, I think the online left is probably going to have a lot of complaints about whoever it is, and they'll probably be valid complaints in many ways. But I don't think anyone in actual Congress is going to vote against it.
I don't think so.
So I have okay, this is probably a very ignorant question, but I was on Twitter when this was all coming out, and there was some video where, Joe Biden's oh, it's going to be the first black woman that's going to be nominated to Supreme Court, and then somebody was oh my gosh, I swear if it's Kamala Harris, and I was can you be vice president and be nominated? I'm
You
a
would
little.
probably have to step down.
You'd have
from
to step
being
down.
vice
But then,
president.
okay, so then would it be what the Speaker of the House that would replace? Isn't that the
they would
next person
appoint
in
a
line?
new
They're
vice
the-
president.
Yeah,
They're just
You can
going-
have not a vice president for a while. It's fine.
that's happened before.
Yeah, it has happened.
Oh, okay.
When vice presidents have ascended to the presidency, for example.
Right.
There was not a vice president at that time.
Not immediately.
That makes so
immediately,
much sense.
yeah.
It's something that I never thought of, but I was there's just a replacement one,
Yeah.
But we would
Somebody
probably
just
want
comes in,
we
but-
would probably want one because Joe Biden.
Oh no!
Yeah, the presidential
You want a
line,
second option.
the line of succession only applies to the office of the presidency, so it's not like the Speaker of the House replaces the vice president immediately. It's not like
Right.
a rolling thing.
But then who would break the ties in the Senate?
That's a good question. I don't know whether there's a provision for that in case the office of vice president is vacant.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we're gonna have to fact check
Yeah.
that.
I guess it would be, well, the vice president is the president of the Senate. So I would imagine whoever is the, I want to say,
Majority leader?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Sorry, where are we right now?
If there's no vice president,
If there's no
who
vice
breaks
president
ties in the
and
Senate?
there's ties in the Senate, who breaks the tie?
That's a great question that I don't know.
Yeah. I'm actually not
Man,
sure.
If only I had paid more attention in high school.
I don't think
I
that
don't
would've been
think this
tough.
was covered in
Yeah,
high
I
school
don't think
civics.
this
This would
Yeah.
not have been covered
See,
in.
that's it. Probably wasn't covered, but it would have been on the test. So if I remembered what the test was, then I would have known the answer to this question.
Well, I've done most of my education in the United States, given the fact that I moved to the United States when I was 6, and like my dad, when he was getting like his citizenship test and whatnot, like he knew so much more about U.S. government and how it functioned than I think I ever did, and it was and he, he's lived in the United States for the last couple of decades, but obviously like did not grow up here. So there's I think on a general baseline population, like U.S. Americans have very little knowledge about their own government and also about world geography.
I don't think that's entirely true. That I think most Americans have a pretty good idea of how the government works, and I can sum up how the government works and how people understand how it works in one word: money.
Money.
I mean, sure.
Yes. I found one explanation that says the rules of the Senate require a majority vote for measure to pass, and if no majority can be attained, the motion fails. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it would be pretty suicidal for the Democrats if they want to push anything through. So that's probably what they'll do.
Oh yeah. People. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to go on a very slight tangent about Biden at the moment, where I have gained a little bit of affection for him over the last couple of weeks, just because of all of the things that they're calling like gaffes in the media right now are, I think, just his most humanizing things. Where what was it? He swore at a reporter in just like the most exasperated way.
Yeah.
You call him a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
That was a little bit earlier.
I can't remember what the phrasing was. It was like
Dang old.
yeah, some variation on like, for fuck's sake or whatever.
They call him a son of a bitch. If I remember right.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Yeah, that was very humanizing to me.
It was.
Was the guy?
Yeah.
What was he a son of?
I mean, probably.
Perhaps.
I don't know. But like,
you
yeah,
ask.
like maybe like you shouldn't do that as president. But like that's like I'm not a huge fan of his general policy agenda. But like in that moment that like people were like getting upset about it, it's like I don't know. I feel like that's probably the thing I like the most about him is when like he just sort of lets his entire guard down and does the thing that's like not what he isn't supposed to do.
The unpresidential thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, but Lady Gaga did it first. I mean, she wrote a whole song about paparazzi and how much she
Sure.
like hates them and stuff. So like, he's just trying to copy her. Honestly,
Kanye actually fought the guy, punched him. The paparazzi. So I think he won up Lady Gaga there.
I mean, W. Bush got a shoe thrown at him. So
That's
there's
true.
also that.
but we're talking about aggression
The other way
towards
around. Yeah,
reporters
exactly.
versus the
It'd
other
be
way
like if
around.
Bush threw a
I
shoe
mean,
at someone.
yeah, it would have been more humanizing if W threw the shoe back at him.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, I'm not trying to undermine probably one of the
W had a
best
lot of
moments in our
humanizing
history, but that was a reporter to the famous figure versus the other way around.
Yeah, what was his name? Zaidi, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
He's on Twitter.
Honestly, a hero.
Just don't read his Arabic language tweets. You might not like him as much after that.
Yeah, it was Montahar al Zahidi, and I was on December 14th, 2008. So it was actually during Bush's lame duck period. Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
Not actually, but
Better times.
rose tinted glass.
I mean, better times than now, yeah. I love those days, Back when we
you
had
were a
compassionate
child?
conservatives. When we had compassionate
you're
conservatives in
Very
office.
much. I was very
Back
much
when I
not
had
mature at the
parents
time.
taking
That
care
doesn't
of
matter.
me.
I'm saying for Alex, like you were literally a child, so I mean, probably it was like better than.
Oh, I was old
but-
then.
Yeah, you were an old child back then, Alex.
I'm aging backwards now.
Look,
Benjamin Button.
the anti-aging
a-
cream is really working for you.
I think that
It is.
we
Doing wonders.
got to
Yeah.
get back to
Benjamin
compassionate conservatism. I think that was a good idea that Bush and his people had, and it's missing, sorely missing from today's
Yes.
political landscape.
Restrained rhetoric.
I don't know if I'd say Bush was famous for his restrained rhetoric.
I think he had a lot of things that the people at the press in the time were calling gaffes, but also
Oh, yeah.
made people like him more.
I mean, there was. I remember adult liberals when I was a child having books of so-called Bushisms.
Bushisms, putting food on one's family.
We have to ask ourselves: is our children learning? You know,
Yes, classics. Which, like, yeah, I mean, obviously not a fan of Busher's policies, but like those aren't. That's not the reason why.
He had some good ideas,
and some bad ones.
Yeah, everyone like everyone else.
Yeah. He's exactly the same as everyone else.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
He's an everyman.
A real human president.
He's
Good times.
You like his paintings? Yeah.
Okay, do you remember then like there was a time
September 11th.
where he like went on the Ellen show and like was like, I make paintings now, you know, and like had his whole like redemption arc, I guess. And like my
Painting
whole thing was
soldiers.
like, look, like if you're trying to like make paintings your redemption arc, they shouldn't be so bland. Like I don't know, like I get that you're
He
you
got
know.
better.
I mean, I get the whole like, look, I'm going to make some paintings now, and like, it's fine that like I committed war crimes because like every president does that, so it's not like you know he's got to like do what every president does, I guess. But it was like it was just bland. I was like, everybody's hype about this, and they're just not very good. I mean, they're like, look, they're better than I could do. Okay, fair, but I was like, this is not some like I don't know, Dali or like Picasso shit. This is. I don't know.
Well, that's a pretty high bar to hold. As someone who is the leader of the free world to learn painting in his
It needs
later
to make
life.
up for like war crimes, bro. Like it needs to be pretty
I
fucking
think
good.
In terms of artwork, though, we can all agree that the best political artist is Hunter Biden.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
No, Hunter Biden does some good paintings. I like the later Bush paintings. I think that when he first started,
Bush's early period.
he was. Yeah, I think it got the most press, but I think he actually did improve a lot in the years following. And if you look at his more recent paintings, I think that there's some artistic merit in there, but not as much as Hunter Biden's paintings. I think Hunter Biden is a great artist, and the price represents that.
Do you think that the Iraq War was a work of art?
I think that. Didn't Jean Baudrillard, and I'm pronouncing that wrong because I hate the French and I hate their language. I think that he said that 9/11 was a work of literary criticism,
Yes,
architectural criticism. He had a whole thing about that.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I know the Twin Towers were heavily criticized when they were initially built in the
Yeah,
70s.
they were pretty ugly. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk them up so much just because they're dead. You know, it's like when a celebrity dies and everyone wants to cancel them. You know, we should do that for buildings also.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Canceling physical pieces of architecture. I
I feel
kind of
like
like
it
that.
happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure, I mean, there's like demolitions, but that's
Yeah.
like once it's old and rickety.
Yeah,
like
building-
that's not
yeah.
canceling it. That's
Right.
No, they canceled.
taking it out to the
They
pasture.
canceled those stairs in Hawaii.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, and they canceled Building 7.
We can't talk about that, or we'll get
They
canceled.
canceled the Hard Rock
By the government.
Cafe in New Orleans, right? That was canceled. But that was, I think more a building accountability than anything else.
Christians canceled a lot of old statues.
Yeah,
is this true?
that's true. A lot of old monuments, a lot of...
But I guess my question is, I think okay. So Alex, I think you had said like it's not canceling; it's just destroying. So like in terms of buildings, and maybe we can bring this back to people. Like what distinction are you making there?
Yeah,
I'm
because
curious.
cancel culture destroys people also.
Well, yes, in a social aspect, but I would say that a demolition of a building is more reflective on the lack of function for that building than how that building is being perceived as it exists. So, like, it could be, I would say it's more the demolition of a building because it's unsafe to those around it, whereas canceling a building would be a rejection of what the building stands for.
Like when they canceled the Library of Alexandria.
That's a throwback. I'm not sure I could tie together. But
I feel like you could make the argument that some individuals get canceled because they're seen as dangerous to those around them.
Yeah, dangerous, and it's a form of social death, and a social execution.
So are you saying that like a canceling a building would be like, oh, we all hate this building now, but it's not going to get destroyed?
yeah,
Like
say
the
like that.
Confederate
Say like that
monuments.
building is structurally sound and would not be a physical source of danger to anyone who was in the vicinity, but the building has, say, design or aesthetic appearances about it that are unsavory.
Like Confederate monuments sort of thing.
Yeah, swastikas, that sort of thing. It's like the
Oh,
building
yeah,
could be
in,
a square,
in
like
Berlin, yeah.
block of concrete, but if it's got propaganda all over it that's no longer desired by the people that are there now, then that would be canceling that building.
Have you seen those pictures of all the canceling of buildings in Germany after the war? They just knocked down all those old buildings. They had a lot of. Well, mostly they weren't that old. They were like a few years old.
Well, yeah, for the most part, yeah.
But they got canceled.
They did.
Yeah. All right. So that was the Supreme Court.
There are a lot of buildings in the U.S. I've seen a few in Chicago that are pre-World War II that have swastikas in the design because that design didn't have the same connotation that it did later on.
Yeah, it was just like a geometric design that was used in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Okay, so there's the Supreme Court's vacancy.
I'd say we nailed it.
I think so.
What's up next?
Neil Young and Jodi Mitchell have decided to pull their discographies off of Spotify in protest of Joe Rogan's claims about what they consider vaccine misinformation.
What they consider vaccine misinformation.
Yeah.
What a way to phrase that. I mean, sure, based. I don't even know if I have anything to add. I'm not surprised that Joe Rogan, has his own beliefs that are not backed up by anything. And I'm also not surprised that it would be like Jodi Mitchell, Neil Young, who would actually have the cojones to do it. But yeah, I think it's like a good gesture. Do I think it's actually really going to change anything? I mean, no. I think the outcry and backlash from actually taking off Joe Rogan would be too great. So I don't think the message is going to change. But it's like a nice little gesture, and it just kind of feels like, I don't know, everyone's going to continue to be afraid of the jab.
Yeah, I think it's largely futile, but whatever. They both have enough money. It's fine.
And I feel like most of their listeners don't listen to Spotify.
Yeah, I don't get what they want. What do they want to happen? Like Joe Rogan is not available on Spotify anymore. Is that what they're looking for?
Yes.
So they want just that guy can't talk on this platform. That's all they want.
I think it's confusing a little bit there.
I
guess it's just because of the amount of money that Spotify gives him, basically, for the fact that he's exclusive, Mm-hmm. Right. So but if they stopped that deal, he would be on more platforms.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's really what they want.
He may even return to YouTube. And although the reason he left YouTube in the first place was because a lot of his videos were getting demonetized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would have less money but more reach, which I don't think is really the goal there in terms of misinformation.
I mean, who's to say, really? We assume that he would have less money, but we don't know.
Hey, yeah.
Don't know that.
He thinks that he would have less money, which is why he's taking the deal. But, that's not necessarily true.
That's sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you think of how I've heard various figures of how many listeners he gets per episode. I've heard 11 million per show tossed around, which, I mean, if you're that level, you have that sort of clout within Spotify. I don't see how several artists deciding to take their libraries off would make any difference.
Yeah. So even if let's suppose he is getting that many viewers or listeners per show on Spotify, is that top 1, top 10, top 100?
Top 1.
I've heard it's top 1. Yeah.
I guess
Or
we
close to
can
it.
bring in some spicy topics, but I don't know, a lot of people are okay, what is the end trademark of this pandemic? How do we do that? And a lot of people are talking about making it more, forcing people more to get the vaccine. And obviously I know a lot of people are very pro individual freedoms, and I'm not saying those are wrong at all. But I do think that the more inconvenient it is to voluntarily not get vaccinated. I'm not talking to people who are involuntary to vaccinated. That's not what I'm talking about. The closer we can get, it's kind of I don't know, the idea of smoking, right? You can't just smoke at a fucking nursery. You know what I mean? Because sure, you can make your individual choice to smoke cigarettes. I mean, nobody's gonna stop you, but there's rule that is like you can't do that, right? And I'm not saying like obviously usually the counter arguments like, well, vaccinated people can get it and spread it too. I'm like, yeah, but it's a much lower rate of getting infected and then therefore spreading it. So I mean, to me, I'm starting to like really start to get, I mean, and I felt like it was well before the fit, but just sick of the idea of like individual freedoms like just trumping everything else. But I'm gonna open up the discussion for any spicy
So
opinions.
I like the comparison there, and I'm thinking about how, say, taking precautions such as wearing a mask, social distancing, etc., are something that those are actions that one person can take depending on the situation that they're in, whereas being vaccinated is either a true or false. You are vaccinated or you're not vaccinated. If you make that same comparison to the smoking analogy of I can, well, depending on addiction and personal needs, I've either can make the choice to smoke or not to smoke in different situations in different places.
Yeah, you
And
can't
some
choose
places,
to be unvaccinated in certain places. and not in
exactly.
others.
So
Yeah.
the
You don't
the
lose your job if you
implication
smoke
that-
in your free
that-
time.
Exactly. Yeah. The
Although you might get paid
implication-
more.
The implication of either not, going to the extreme of outlawing, but trying to push against those who are voluntary not being vaccinated, it would be similar to a push against people not being a smoker, not just someone smoking in a certain situation, but not smoking, period.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
There's a guy who was smoking a blunt in the train today that I was on.
nice. Yeah.
Thank you for
They
sharing.
need to do that.
Yeah, that
Red line
happens.
by any chance?
Yep.
Yeah, it's always the red line.
Always the
Yes.
red line.
Yes.
Didn't mean to derail there. Just
Oh, derail. I like that.
Pun intended.
All right. Yeah, I agree with Alex. I don't have anything more to add here.
yeah, no, not really. I mean, unless we could make a smokable vaccine, but I don't.
Have you tried smoking the vaccine?
I have not tried. I guess you could, use the liquid from the vaccine and put it in a blunt.
Oh, but by the way, I actually, because I have to get the flu vaccine every year for what I do, the intranasal vaccine, like form of the flu vaccine, is actually like much less effective. So it's actually not accepted in the healthcare setting I work in. So,
Interesting.
That's more like vaping the vaccine through your nose.
but I mean,
Snorting the vaccine?
Insufflating.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
snorting the vaccine. Sorry.
I don't know, like whenever you like smoke something, it like can come out through your nose. I don't know if that's. I disagree.
But,
I
like,
think it's
you
all the
know,
same respiratory system, bro.
Let's
I think
take
it is.
let's take a hypothetical here. Say the vaccine was as or more effective when smoked, or if that was the primary way you get the vaccine.
Are we talking like freebasing it, or are we talking like drizzling it on a blunt?
Yeah,
However you prefer.
I'm gonna go with blunt here for the sake of my my thought experiment. Say you were smoking your vaccine in one of these situations, like in a restaurant or in a nursery, right?
Oh my god.
Is your secondhand vaccine smoke, like, is that the real issue there?
Because it might inoculate people that don't want to be vaccinated.
Right, exactly. What's the is it better to do that on your own, or is it better to do that to society at large with your secondhand vaccine smoke?
Yeah, and what if it's in a similar manner to the fluoridation of municipal water supplies, right? Like, would it be unethical to vaccinate the water supply
Well,
with
look,
fluoride?
all I'm saying is that it's probably already happening, and if you have unvaccinated sperm, freeze it now, save it now, because in the future, you know what I mean? They're going to be begging
It's going
for
to be
it.
gold,
Begging for
liquid
it.
gold.
Liquid gold.
Yeah, I can definitely see how the vaccine has affected fertility by Chuck's notes. So working with pregnant people almost every day on this time of my career, and just seeing people accidentally get pregnant a ton who have been vaccinated,
But their partners probably haven't been vaccinated, which is why.
Yeah, it's the virile
so it's like-
male sperm
Yeah.
that really needs to
No,
take
but
root.
the vaccine.
Who is it?
Hold
Is it a
on.
dominant or a what's the
Recessive.
other recessive trait? Being
No,
vaccinated.
but
Submissive
but no,
trait?
Submissive traits.
Fucking hell. But look, if we're gonna go like Joe Rogan right now, you know what I mean? Like, I thought part of it too was also like, the idea that you
that's
can't
crazy.
conceive or whatever because like you got bad. Like, I thought that was a big part.
But
of
isn't
it.
that a plus?
No, for me, totally.
some people,
for
for
me,
some
like
people.
that's a 2-for-1, baby. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, like,
a
part of
big
the,
minus.
you know, the hysteria is like, you know, you can no longer get bread or whatever. So,
I don't know. Yeah.
I think that hysteria is caused by the movements of the womb throughout the body. So
my
that
God.
would make sense that that's related. That's what hysteria means. That's what,
yeah. No, I mean, why it's called hysterectomy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. All
I'll
right.
take your word for it. I don't know the English language, so I'll just say it is.
So which
Well,
topic
it's actually
did we just
it's from
conclude here?
Latin.
So I hope
I
Jodi
mean,
Mitchell's doing well. Otherwise, you know, good for her
that
for
was
taking a
Jodi Mitchell and
stand.
a
And
Man, Blue is a great album, by the way. Blue
Yeah,
by
I have
Joni
that on
Mitchell.
vinyl. It is a very good album.
You'll have to
it's a
look it up
very
on
good
Spotify.
album. Yeah, it's classic. well,
God
yeah.
damn it.
Too bad for that.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, let's see. I have Blue on vinyl. I don't think I have any Neil Young on vinyl though. I have Deja Vu by CSNY on CD, but I don't have any.
The first few Neil Young albums are also quite good.
Oh, After the Gold Rush.
Yeah, After
Yeah.
the Gold Rush is really good. Really good album.
Nice. I think at least at one point I had a digital copy of that, but I'm not sure if I still do.
So do we know if, like, coming off of Spotify or iTunes or anything like that, does that have any effect on the availability of vinyl or other, like, physical copy of music or art in general? Like, is this sort of like could we see like a spike in prices or some weird shit like that, or is this just?
I mean, they're probably still on YouTube. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
I would
too.
doubt that there'd be any relationship between streamability and physical sales, because the people that want a physical copy are going to buy it regardless,
Yeah.
and the people that want to stream or listen digitally are going to find a way to listen digitally.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's physical
Even if it's
copy
questionably
is-
legal.
And I think if people want to support Neil Young and Joni Mitchell's decision, the thing they'll do is buy a CD or something.
Yeah, so you might in this case just because people want to show support, but I don't think that generally there would be a relationship between availability through digital channels and sales for physical copies.
Good practice is buying albums.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
That's a conclusion you inevitably made.
Consumption is not a revolutionary act.
Yeah.
No, it is.
Condoning consumption in a capitalist society is not something I'd necessarily get behind, but just throwing that.
Well,
out
you
there.
got to do it. You got to consume something.
Yeah, consumers gotta consume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good book called Consumed by David Cronenberg. It's a novel about that sort of thing.
I really do think, if we all just buy
Cannibalism.
more Joni Mitchell albums in person and we all just,
Go to her
have
shows.
meatless Mondays, we'll be fine. You know what I mean? We'll be fine. It's
Yeah.
like really, we're good. The ice caps will melt like a little slower. So we'll buy ourselves another like
Yes.
13 years.
Meatless
so.
Mondays and then triple meat Tuesdays to make up for it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we're fine. So
Is Joni Mitchell touring these days? Do you know?
That's a good question. Let me take a look. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
I think it's weird having like things that are planned in the future right now with like just the way that Rona is very temperamental, because it's like something will be like
It's real tough for touring musicians. I know.
Yeah,
I know
it's like-
some musicians, and they're not having good times, and other performers as well. It's really hard for performers these days because nothing is planned in advance, so they're really reliant on the whims of recruiter or promoters and just all these events that are
I'm taking a look.
booked in like a week in advance.
I'm taking a look at Joni Mitchell's website, and I see for upcoming tributes and events. Let me see. There's a few like tributes for her, but I don't see any like upcoming concerts or anything. And it looks like we have an article about regarding Neil Young's Spotify removal, and it will apparently his Spotify streaming royalties constitute 60% of his streaming income.
He says that his streaming income, that he will lose 60% of his streaming
Yes.
income.
I mean,
I think that's not true.
60% of what to begin with?
Right. First of all, 60% of what? But second of all, that assumes that the people who are streaming him on Spotify will just not stream him, rather than go stream him somewhere else, like a YouTube, for example, which I think is more likely
That's
in
much
many
more
cases.
likely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on Spotify and you have like a playlist that includes Neil Young, maybe you
Right.
won't listen to Neil Young anymore because it's just not on your playlist. But like if you're actively seeking out Neil Young and you just can't find him on Spotify, you'll find him somewhere else.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't think his streaming income will drop by 60%. It'll drop by a lower number, I would expect.
That low number. Yeah.
And his streaming income is probably, not his largest source of income.
I wouldn't think so.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know, like wealth accumulates, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got plenty of money. Hey, Jamie, can you fact check the net worth of
Neil Young?
Neil Young? Yeah.
That's a good question.
Pull that up, Jamie.
What do we have here?
$200 million.
That's nothing.
That's like, I don't know, like he's really gonna struggle, I think,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like,
how
I
he's
don't
gonna
know,
make
I
it.
don't know he's gonna make it.
Falling out of that $200 million bracket is really tough.
Yeah.
That's a big challenge.
that's his net worth.
Yeah.
So he's not going to fall out of that. He just has that
Yes.
much. He's worth that much.
I mean,
He
that's
just won't get
Assets are
as
worth
much
that
more.
Yeah. I mean, most of his money, though, I would assume, comes from having that much capital
Right.
with which he can invest.
I mean, that's the kind of
Yeah.
money you can save when you have hair like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's not paying a lot on a stylist.
I will
So-
miss Harvest Young. Sorry, my God, Harvest Young. All right, sorry. I will miss Harvest Moon randomly coming up on my Spotify as I'm just like having palpitations, and then suddenly I feel really calm again, and then I'll just start having palpitations after that.
Is that the one where you do farming and stuff?
Yes. Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley are the two that do that. They're both wonderful.
It's a little after my time.
A little bit.
How do we feel about harvesting the young?
Oh, spicy.
Oh.
What do you mean by that?
Nah.
Yeah, operational definitions here.
Yes.
Well, I guess the most practical way would be just using their blood for transfusions to the old so that they can live longer. But I guess the more sinister way would be harvesting their organs.
Well, if the old that you're talking about are very wealthy, I think it's just, it's got to happen.
As long as they can pay for their textbooks.
I mean, wasn't
it's
Peter
gotta go.
Nygaard getting blood transfusions from the young?
That was Peter Thiel. Maybe not. I don't know.
Peter Thiel I think he's been funding a company that does that. I don't know if he
Okay.
does it personally, but
All right, so operational definitions here.
Andrew is
Are you talking about like how, like for example,
Jeffrey
I donate
Epstein.
blood pretty regularly, and like probably where my blood goes to is going to be more likely in an older individual for a lot of different reasons.
That seems
Not necessarily. There's a lot of like kids and stuff with certain cancers, but is that what you're talking about, or is it more talking about the fact that like Prince Philip would drink the blood of children? You know what I mean? And
Yeah. I'd
that's
say
what
it's
kept him
more the
alive for
latter.
so long.
I'd say the latter. I think the former situation is more incidental in that it is from young to old, whereas I think the latter is more.
Yeah, I was thinking more
systematic.
like you're paying a bunch of young people to be hooked up to blood machines in like a harvest farm situation where like, that's their job for like a month or two and then they leave and then they come back when they need more money. And then like you use that blood to rejuvenate your frail being.
Is this the new Matrix?
I think that's a good idea to get kids job experience in this economy.
Yeah, no, it's a good job creation strategy.
Is it hourly or salary?
I think it's more on a contract basis.
I would assume
Oh, yeah,
it would be
really
based
good.
on the amount of product.
Yeah. It's how much blood can you produce?
Piecework is
Yeah.
what it's called.
Yeah, piecework.
It's by the gallon.
Like the good old fashioned days.
Yep. And then you used to be able to just drop off a bucket of blood at the doorstep of your local land baron and they'd give you a nickel.
Wait. How many liters are in a gallon?
I don't
2.8.
think-
It's not a direct, 2.8.
Okay, the thing is that
3.8,
like
yeah.
the average person, adult person, has like 5 liters of blood in their body, so it'd be like what, a couple gallons?
Yeah.
Probably if you took out a whole gallon, you'd die. It's like once you start going under.
Well, I guess maybe that would be
know.
over the course of like a week. Maybe you'd get a gallon.
Still, it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, but you sign a waiver, You can't sue.
They know what they're getting
That'd be
into.
ridiculous.
All right, let's take a look at the next topic.
Let's move on.
All right, good talk. Good talk. We could talk about the governor's race. So there are several GOP candidates who've said they're going to run against Pritzker, although it's really far too early to tell whether they'll have any success. Let's see.
We've had Republican governors before. We probably will again at some point.
I think we will definitely at some points.
No rumors of Democratic primary challengers.
Not that I've seen.
Yeah, I doubt it.
It seems unlikely.
That would be suicidal in this environment. For
It's just let him spend more money,
he's got plenty. He can outspend.
drown them.
Yeah. So
how popular is he? What's the approval ratings?
that's a good question.
for old JB?
I know, like at this early stage, he's polling above all of the potential candidates, but I can check his approval
because
rate.
nobody knows who they are.
Nobody really knows who they are at this point.
But like what his numbers are, I think matters much more than
Yeah, I'm seeing
at this stage at least.
Yeah, I'm seeing what the most.
Where are Pritzker's actions correlating to dips in said approval?
I feel like I haven't heard like anything about Pritzker since his tax plan failed. So he's just kind of been there.
I mean, people have been talking about the COVID response and things
I
like
guess
that.
so.
Yeah. I know. Let's see. In November, it looks like it was a 51% approval rating.
So that's 51% approve and what, like 46%?
Probably, yeah, and with some
disapprove or
undecided,
something
I would
like that.
imagine. Yeah.
I think that's pretty strong. I think unless something else changes, he's likely to be reelected with that kind of approval rating.
Yeah.
Seems likely.
Unless there's a really strong candidate running on the Republican side, but I don't know anyone that would be that.
Who could be considered particularly
Yeah,
strong.
I mean, I feel like, with the broader national stage, like playing into like these sort of statewide elections, I know that Illinois has been fond of having, Republican governors in the past, but like, I think that the voter turnout in Illinois on this sort of midterm election cycle is going to be a lot of Democrats who are worried about like Republican turnout. So it's going to be kind of similar thing to the last presidential election. Obviously, probably still lower turnout than the presidential, but like I think in these kind of solidly blue states, you're just going to have a lot of paranoid Democratic voters who will not be in a mood to entertain Republicans. And you'll probably still have a solid Republican turnout, but like I think there will, if you had a purpler state that was swinging red for the other, like, the national stuff, you might get a flip that way. But I just don't think, I think people's politics are getting more nationalized. And so the kind of split ticket ballot that you might have had in the past is going to become more rare, where you're voting Republican for governor, but you're voting Democratic for, House or Senate or whatever.
I don't know, but you do generally see higher Republican turnout in midterm elections. I don't know where. Do you have the data to support the hypothesis that you'll have more Democrats turning out this time too, in fear of Republican turnout? Which it just seems odd to me because you're saying that like everyone knows there's more Republican turnout and that will make there be more Democratic turnout. I don't understand.
Right. I don't think it's a cycle that builds upon itself into more turnout at a midterm election. Like if I can't remember the ratios right now, but it is multiples less of total voter turnout at a midterm election than for the national elections.
I mean, if anything, I think that like on both like state levels and federal levels, like within the next elections we're going to see in the next few years, I think I shouldn't say we because I'm
Big
not really
red
a
shift.
Democrat, but I think it's just going to be like a bloodbath.
Massive red wave.
No, literally,
It's going to be like Mosaic, the red wave that's coming.
because it's but literally it was like for years Democrats were like, look, the reason we can't do anything is because this is more a federal level, right? It's like we don't have the House and we don't have the Senate and we don't have the president,
And we still
so we
don't.
can't do anything. And then it's just like now that we technically do, but then we don't actually in practice, and so it's kind of like it doesn't make a difference. And so it's like I think like
that happened in the first half of Obama's first term.
Yeah, and there was a huge red wave in that election, the midterm election after that.
yeah, it was like sure, like Obama got reelected, but everything else was pretty red wave bloodbath. Like
most presidents get reelected, and if you look at the past century, right, how many have only been one term? Just a few of them.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think, like, for example, like I think the House is going to flip back, and same with the Senate, probably. Maybe. To be fair, I'm kind of talking about my
the
house
Senate
right
is
now.
more likely. I think the Senate is
Yeah.
almost a guarantee at this point. The House is potential.
Yeah.
I don't know the odds, but I think it's quite likely that the House will flip as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any like, data to back any of this up, but like I don't know. I feel like the sort of polarization that we've been seeing is more of a solidifying of the likely voters, right? So, yeah, I think you will still see those same dynamics play out to a certain degree, but I think the people who vote in one election will vote the same in the next one most of the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that hasn't really played out in the recent elections, for example, in Virginia and New Jersey, where you've seen a significant shift to the Republican side.
Yeah, but I think those places are the exception rather that prove
I mean, those are
rule.
the only elections that have been run since the national
well, that's fair.
presidential election, and I think it's likely that they're often considered to be bellwethers when you see like gubernatorial races in a few states, which always happens at this point. If you see consistent shifts across many of them, that's typically a signal that you'll see that in the midterm election.
Right.
So they're closer to the Iowa of these midterm elections of like being the first signpost of future trends. Okay.
I think for me the main thing is that like regardless of like any actual evidence, the fact that I'm trying to have a counter opinion is what'll make me look really smart if you guys end up being wrong. So I'm kind of
Alex, I can appreciate
all the people that
take.
predicted Trump back in 2014.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm trying to do the prediction that people aren't predicting now, so that I'll be the one who called it later. And like later, I'm gonna try and find stuff that'll back up my theory. And then like I'll probably be wrong, but like there's a chance that I'll be right.
Yeah.
And then I'll be
It's
like,
more than
hey, I was
0%,
right. You know.
so it's worth it.
So I think that's where I'm coming from here.
I think there's an octopus that's predicted all of the previous 5 presidential elections, and I think it agrees with you. So I think
That octopus
there was
me.
I want more context. Wait. I want more context
I
on the
got
octopus.
you.
We're not just throwing that
I'm
out
on
there
it.
without more
I'm on
context.
it.
I want more.
Let's elaborate on the octopus, and then I have a related story to that.
elaborate octopus. All right. So they have this. Oh, he's pulling it up. Yeah.
Where are the octopuses? Oh,
Paul the
holy
Octopus.
shit.
Well, Paul the Octopus was about soccer matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
But,
did
they
you
have
just-
things like this that
Did you just make something up on a podcast?
No, I didn't
No, of
make it
course
up.
not.
It's
you
a
just
real.
cite
It's a
Citing
real
our
thing.
sources right
Did
now.
you just cheat on a podcast?
It's a real thing. It's right there. Yeah.
Ooh, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad criticized Paul the Octopus as a symbol of Western decadence and decay.
Yeah, of course
that's
Ahmadinejad
accurate.
would criticize the poor, defenseless octopus.
That's true.
He's a quite intelligent creature as well.
Yeah, he predicted.
Basically, in this, the seemingly arbitrary prediction of results based on a set scenario, like this happened with Paul the Octopus for the FIFA World Cup. Has happened with a coin predicting the entire season for a football team correctly, down to I think one game it got off out of 17. So things like this happen. That doesn't mean that they are right or that they will work in the future, but it's just
Think about how many predictions are made for every such event in the world, right?
March Madness
That
is
so many
consistently
people
the
are
one
predicting.
where like millions of people make predictions for it, and only
Right.
maybe one person actually gets it right.
I don't think anyone's ever actually gotten the full bracket right for March Madness.
But that
depends
It's
year
much
to
more
year.
complicated than like a binary presidential election.
It's
someone's got the full
255
bracket.
binary decisions. Is what
Right.
it is.
So when you do the math, that gets you like a
Wow.
it's 39 games, so 2 to the 39th.
Yep.
I mean, obviously they're not all 50-50, but on the order of 2 to the 39th, which
Yeah,
is
looks
a
like
very
one-
high number.
One person predicted it up to the Sweet 16 for it.
Wow.
But when it comes to a binary choice like we have between presidential candidates, except when we had Ross Perot, for example, but mostly a binary choice. And let's be honest,
I don't know. I mean,
always a binary
look,
choice.
like Jill Stein was really close. Like she was really close.
Gary Johnson was closer.
I mean,
I was pulling for Kanye in the last election.
Oh
but
man, dude, I was waiting to get our national anthem changed to "Lose Yourself," aka "Poopity Scoop." I was gonna be all for that.
lift yourself.
Yes, lift
Yes.
Lose yourself is by Eminem.
That's Eminem. Marshall Mathers.
Oh,
I
please
can't
no.
remember
Oh
where,
God, please no.
where in that
I'm so
song you
sorry.
said poop diddy scoop.
All right. I think we've pretty much exhausted this topic.
I think we
Yeah.
have. Let's see.
Next topic,
Next-
Alex is using the bathroom, yada yada.
Okay. We have.
Jamie,
We have
you don't have to rub it in.
You don't have to rub it in. You really don't. Oh, I saw that Twitter is no longer enforcing their civic integrity policy when it comes to lies about the results of the 2020 election, which makes sense because that was over a year ago.
So could we elaborate for those that aren't intricately familiar with Twitter user license agreements?
I'll be honest. I don't really use Twitter. I don't really care about Twitter.
Yes. I used it specifically for this podcast. By the way, follow us on Twitter at radio_windy.
Hey.
Hey. No, there are a couple of people that do good things on Twitter, like Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, for example.
Yes.
That's a callback.
Or Al-Zaidi, the guy that threw the shoe at Bush. He has a Twitter presence as well.
I like
And
Elon Musk's Twitter.
it's quite different. The Zaidi Twitter is quite different in English and in Arabic, apparently. He says some things in the Arabic Twitter that would get him canceled in the English Twitter.
Good on him.
Yes.
I mean, I guess like on an individual, you don't have to be invested in Twitter in any way, but also it's like, it's undeniable that Twitter is like a very big force out there. Like, I think that like so much
Dark
of
force.
the what?
A dark force.
I agree. No, I think there's just been a lot of things that specifically Twitter. I mean, obviously we could say this about Facebook. We could say about it, like, I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but there's been a lot that like Twitter specifically, I think, has shaped a lot of like modern culture as well as politics in like the last decade that I think is just, I hate to say the word unprecedented because I think every time somebody says that word, I just think that it must be precedent times at one point. Like it can't always be unprecedented.
Use of the word unprecedented is unprecedented in that it's never been used properly.
I think,
It's like at one point it becomes precedented, right?
yeah,
Like it can't
I
just
don't
be
know
always
if
unprecedented. At one point it goes into precedence.
It does.
I think that the influence of social media and Twitter is often overstated on a lot of things like public policy and opinion and things. There's a lot of good work has been done by the journalist Yevgeny Morozov on this topic. He wrote in maybe about a decade ago on the supposed influence of social media on the Arab Spring and how a lot of media covering the events of the Arab Spring like to say it was the Twitter revolution and things like that, when in actuality the main usage of these social media platforms during the Arab Spring was for the governments to surveil the people who were involved in the anti-government protests.
But I'd have to disagree with that because I mean, obviously I'm thinking of this from like a healthcare perspective, but I think like there's just been like more, and I'm talking like within the last several years, like not like obviously throughout decades of time, but just like, for example, like an increase in home births because of like a lot of misinformation and also some of it being just very legitimate fear of like, being mistreated by healthcare professionals during birth. And so it's like
Charged a lot of money also.
What?
People get charged a lot of money.
No,
also
for sure. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of people thinking that, like, like that they're going to be safer because, you can't trust the tetanus booster that you get in pregnancy or you can't, and it, like sometimes like births work out without any intervention. That's great. But, if you don't have prenatal care, a lot of shit can go wrong. And also just a lot of shit in general can, hit the fan. So I don't know. I think, like, for example, I think that social media is totally is an essential ingredient into like, accelerating that notion and that belief, or like even just like shit like Noom, like I don't know, like
that's just advertised everywhere,
Yeah, I don't really
If it
know
wasn't
what it is.
advertised on
I just
social
see it all the
media, it would
time.
be advertised.
No, right, but
I hear
yeah.
ads for it on audio, on podcasts and things when I used to listen to podcasts. I don't really see it on social media.
no, for sure. But like where, I mean, okay,
I see it on Facebook.
I don't really know what it is.
I'm trying to how do I explain this? Okay, and maybe they look.
Pseudoscience. You're talking about pseudoscience. Or
Yeah,
like,
okay, I'm talking about just pseudoscience.
Non-scientific.
Yeah. I feel like, for example, like if you talk to somebody who like it's my like parents' age, like 60, whatever. There were certainly people that were growing up with them that would maybe be like, you know, obviously like I shouldn't say hippies because that was like pretty popular, but I'm talking about people who, you know, were very like pro natural lifestyle, you know, whatever kind of like stuff. And then, but they were like, it seemed, I mean, and this is all perception. I'm not saying exact data. There was like, that was kind of like a more rare opinion to have, you know, to be like, I'm going to live off the grid, or, you know, I'm going to like, I'm not going to get like the jab, you know, the vaccine. I'm not going to go with the, you know, like I'm going to do it all naturally or whatever. But now it's like, when you talk to a lot of those, they're just like, you know, they're like people just got their fucking polio vaccine. You know what I mean? Like people, you know what I mean? And now I think, like, for example, I don't think Noom could exist without the invention of like something like Twitter, for example, because it's like that idea had to spread very quickly between people that don't have physical contact with each other.
Is Noom anti-vax?
Yeah,
no, I'm talking about pseudoscience. I'm talking about examples of pseudoscience.
Well, I don't. What is new?
It's like a weight loss thing, I think, right?
Yeah, but it's not based on any real data, and there's no actual like.
Well, that's true for like
all weight loss things.
Yeah, weight loss things since time
I'm not saying
immemorial.
You're wrong. I agree. No, I totally agree with like weight loss is actually like
they had all the fad diets in the 70s.
They had fad diets since like the late 1800s.
Yeah. Probably earlier.
Probably.
But those fad diets were, you know, fasting for.
You can find in ancient Roman health textbooks, basically, and texts talking about things to do that are, you know, completely absurd, not based in any kind of empirical observation.
Well, now I just have to keep fighting back, because then if I admit that I'm wrong, then I lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to think of yourself as losing, though.
Yeah, you could think of yourself as just not winning.
Yeah.
I think we all. I think if you,
I don't lose, I just don't win.
If you changing your opinion is winning, because that means you've learned something.
That's true.
Well,
or
yes, that's a very
it's about digging your heels in the ground. It's about digging your heels in the ground and standing by like whatever, you know, view that you have, even when you have evidence that completely goes in the opposite direction of that. It makes you uncomfortable.
If
Cognitive dissonance, baby. Cognitive dissonance.
If you are married to the belief that you are standing by, then yes.
Yeah, but you can still stand.
If you like that belief so much, why don't you marry it?
Exactly.
Ooh, good question.
But I think
look. Okay, I'm still young and I really don't want to commit to something. Okay, like I'm trying to make sure that I'm really certain about like who I'm going to marry. Okay.
And what belief?
That's right. Yeah. Are they a nice belief? They've been treating you well?
I was about to say something and then I fucking sneezed.
I think it's good for. I think it's okay for a human and a belief to fall in love and get married, and I think that we need our government to accept that.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I've been believing a lot of things lately.
Ooh.
All right, next
and
topic.
One of the things I've been believing lately is doors.
Oh.
Why do I believe so many doors?
Alex, no, you can't leave to the kitchen. You need to get Alex to shut the fuck up. Please, God, no, do not leave us, Alex. Shit.
No, but I mean, honestly, though, if you have a like a thing that you're saying that it's like your hot take, you know, you stand by it, and then when it's proved to be wrong, you turn it into a bit and pretend it was a bit the whole time.
No, you open up the Notes app, and then you post it on Twitter and Instagram, a really long apology. And, you know, and then you just wait like a few months until everybody forgets. And then, you know, your PR manager is like, don't worry about it.
But the real question is like, why do I believe there's so many doors out there in the world? Why do I believe
I have
there's
no
so
fucking
many doors?
idea, okay? I don't know why you believe there's so many fucking doors.
Because I've been believing a lot of things lately, you know? One of the things I've been believing a lot lately is doors.
Is that the belief that you're going to marry?
It is. I'm just trying to make this a general bit that happens every episode. So.
I know.
I like it.
Okay.
They're trying to make fetch happen, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know it's not. I'll try it again next time. We'll see if it works. Anyhow.
You can also just say, haha, trolled ya.
Joke's on you. I was only kidding.
Yeah.
Haha, I rickrolled you.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Even
man.
if you didn't rickroll them.
Joke's
I think
on
that
you.
might be
I
less
actually
effective.
like that song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah.
I will say this, like, look, if you're going to troll something, at least be creative. I don't know. Like, I
don't like lazy trolls.
Yeah,
I don't
like make a
lazy
bit
I
about
don't like
doors.
lazy no.
I like a nice lazy
No,
troll.
but I do not like lazy trolls. Like when somebody is just like, I don't know, like
I think
like
that-
for example, just like I don't know, like I mean, there's a lot of, but like for something like misogynistic or like anti-Semitic, I'm just like, that's so like, it's just lazy. So like, I don't know, like talk about possums or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Or-
go and
yeah.
fucking left field.
Yeah.
Or
Are
any-
the
yeah.
Rothschilds possums?
Yes.
I think that
There we go. You know,
the
we could
less
start. I don't know, fucking interesting.
the less
Humor me, entertain me.
Yeah, or like edit your voice, edit that person's voice so they're saying the opposite of what they actually said, and then call into a show with it.
No, I think that you guys fundamentally are misunderstanding the point of trolling here. It's about the least amount of effort you can use in order to make someone else put out the most effort
That's right.
they possibly can.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, I like this. We
if
can see
you
ourselves.
in 2 words can do something that creates walls and walls of text, or,
That's right.
or hours and hours of talking from someone, they just get so passionate in defending whatever it is that you briefly manage to work them up about. That is a successful troll.
Yes.
Okay,
regardless of how
that's-
lazy it may or
but
may not
isn't
be.
When you
copying
pick
the
it-
word possum and then like doing Control V a bunch of times? That's a very quick way of
I
putting
don't
a
know
lot of
how
text
well.
somewhere.
I don't know how effective that would be as a troll.
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of
What you should
engagement
do
that
there
way.
Is instead of copy pasting possum, you put John Madden ! Into a text to speech.
John Madden.
John Madden.
John Madden.
I think we're talking about copy possum.
Yes,
possum?
copy possum.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Get ready for
you
some
know,
football.
I would say that's like a 4 out of 10. You can do much better.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of like lazy trolls, the classic 2-word response is no you.
Or okay, boomer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that one's quite effective sometimes.
It can be. Yeah.
Really get 'em.
Okay, D's.
Or you can say your mom. I do that sometimes.
Uh-huh.
I always just say, someone's like, what's the worst, what's the toughest, meanest place you've ever been? And I say, your mom.
Oh. Yes.
I don't think
Harsh.
I've heard that one. Wow, that's devastating.
And
People
then
making
they,
jokes
then they,
about their
then
mothers.
they post my
Holy
photo.
shit.
You enjoyed
as a
this
comment.
very thoroughly entertaining your mother joke.
Yeah.
Your mother.
Oh, mother.
I think that accurately sums up the Twitter and or Twitter's
Oh,
change
you know, I
and
pulled up
removal of the
I
policy.
pulled up the policy. I didn't even get to say what it was. Hold on, I have
The
it here.
policy.
I mean, I would associate Twitter with trolling in general. So, you know, I feel like
no,
we
no,
summarized,
every-
but if
no,
you
no.
really
Twitter
want-
is basically
No,
built for
Alex,
trolling.
you're wrong. Everybody on Twitter is very serious all the time.
all the time.
I think
All
that's
the time.
actually a problem, is that people are too serious on
Yes.
Twitter. Yeah.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter, I think, is probably the worst designed social media app out there. I think it's just awful, honestly. The character limit just incentivizes people to do the kind of trolling, that's it's as much engagement as you can create with a few characters. That's so people
You know
are
what I will
incentivized
say,
to
though?
make
I think,
incendiary
like,
statements.
That its format leads to just a lot of very high strung emotions and chaos. And I'm on Twitter while also hating Twitter because that's just like the function of my life. And I just got Instagram this week, and I have to say, I definitely
Much better app.
No, but you know what? I actually like Twitter better overall because I think there's an honesty about the fact that everybody's spiraling, and everybody's chaotic. And Instagram just feels very which is obvious. This is not a new opinion, but just very quick. I don't know. There's an honesty to Twitter that I kind of appreciate, as fucked up as it is.
But
And
do
I
you think-
think,
I think that depends on who you follow.
Right, and then also I
That's
feel
fair.
like even so, do you think that there's a social pressure to be despondent, depressed, and spiraling when that's what you surround yourself with on social media, right?
Absolutely.
Not to say
Yeah.
that you have someone who's feeling that way, feeling validated in that, but then that becomes the norm, and suddenly if you're in a healthier mind state, you no longer get along with all your online friends because you can't relate.
Yeah,
And
because you
that
build
causes
your
people
own
to
space. in social
continue
media.
to revert to those unhealthy behaviors because that's a requirement for being a member of the community.
Right, like if you're on TikTok, you have to have ADHD.
Yeah.
I think that the platform also just gives you
Yeah.
That kind
It's
of.
It's a self-fulfilling
it's a
prophecy.
virtuous cycle.
It imposes mental illness upon you.
I mean, the whole thing is an illness, right?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's
Social
busy.
media are just various forms of illness in society. You know, it's like a
Okay,
cancerous
boomer.
growth growing in there. I don't think it's really the cause of the illness. I think it's a symptom of the illness.
It's a feedback loop too, though.
Oh yeah.
To a certain extent, but the superstructure is reliant on the base in the final analysis.
Okay.
Yeah, and incidentally, the policy, as updated in October 2021, states you may not use Twitter's services for the purpose of manipulating or interfering in elections or other civic processes. This includes posting or sharing content that may suppress participation or mislead people about when, where, or how to participate in a civic process. In addition, we may label and reduce the visibility of tweets containing false or misleading information about civic processes in order to provide additional context.
Is there a similar policy for our streaming services that we're using right now to get this podcast out?
That's a good question. I doubt it. But
In that case, I'd just like to say there is no election ever.
there is a selection.
Yes, that's exactly right. There's no election in this country or anywhere else right now in the world. There's a selection. The powers that be make all the decisions. You have no power as a voter.
It's inherited. You're born into it. Honestly, that's actually, I was trying to make like a monarchy joke there, and I just started to say things that were actually pretty on point. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's it on Twitter.
That's on Twitter. And that basically concludes the news-related politics. We can go into the more fun stuff now. So the other thing
News is fun.
I mean, the other...
You don't think I'm fun?
I think you're very fun. Especially, I think the topics you suggested earlier are very fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
Let's talk first about the evolution of Katy Perry's music. Now, I myself am not very familiar with Katy Perry's music, so if you all want to discuss that
Okay.
amongst yourselves.
I don't know.
No, I mean, Jamie and I have been talking about this because basically, okay, no, for real. Like last weekend, like Jamie and I talked about this. And the thing is that, like, yes, ET, okay. But for real, I feel like Katy Perry just came in real strong in terms of like her real early stuff. Like you had like, I Kissed a Girl, which is still like a bop no matter what, People can try to cancel it, but it's still great. And then there was, Hot and Cold, and then there was
Yes and
Teenage
No.
Dream and California Girls, and then E.T. And then just like it just went to shit so fast. And every time
I don't know any of the songs after that.
Is it when she broke up with
like
Russell
Dark
Brand?
Horse.
I like Dark Horse. Dark Horse is a good song, yeah.
Roar's not that good.
Roar's not that good. That's true.
Roar really
I'm not a
sucks.
fan of Roar, but Dark Horse is a good song. I love the Juicy J verse.
Absolutely.
Think about you could just give a cardiac arrest to someone living in like 2003, telling them that Juicy J was on a #1 charting pop song.
Whatever happened to Juicy J?
Oh yeah.
What do you mean? He's still around.
Oh, okay. I just haven't heard from him
It's
lately.
that meme of waking up in a hospital from a coma, and it's like, what time is it? And then the nurse tells you the time. Oh, okay. Is Juicy J still a #1 artist? It's just yes. It's like, oh, awesome.
Well, I don't think he's had a #1 since then.
Since then, well,
I think that was the only time
it was
he was
applicable.
on
at
it.
the
feel like
But he
yeah.
was really big for a second around then when he released the Blue Dream and Lean
Like
mixtape.
I was hearing a lot about Juicy J at the time, and I just haven't heard Juicy J in a while.
Yeah.
All right,
I
is
haven't
this
heard
a
lot
safe
about him
space where I can admit this?
Of course.
I don't really know who Juicy J is.
He's a rapper. He was in the 3 6 Mafia, and then he was featured on Dark Horse by Katy Perry, and he had a popular mixtape, Blue Dream and Lean, around the same time. Some of his songs include, like, I think maybe his most famous line, "You say no to drugs, Juicy J can't. You say no to," I probably shouldn't say the next phrase. But yeah.
Okay.
We should watch out with the copyright material. But
I think we'll be okay.
It's distorted enough.
Yeah. We should be all right, though.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. Yeah.
Chicago fella, right?
I believe he's from Houston.
Houston? Oh, okay. I'm thinking of not that then.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable in this space. And, I feel really safe being vulnerable with all of our Discord followers
Memphis.
and Twitch followers that are always very supportive of us and. You know,
Oh, yeah, that's
never,
right. Yeah, it is Memphis.
Never
yeah.
has insulted any of us. You know, I just shout out to all of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, now that I know JCJ
Never trolled either.
is not,
Not
from
at all.
Chicago, I no longer feel attached emotionally. So
Yeah, Viper's
That's
one
how I
from
feel
Houston.
about
Not
you.
even from. You're not.
Alex,
Alex, you're not even from Chicago.
Yeah,
You're trying to
Viper's
claim
one
being
from
in
Houston.
Chicago.
Well, there's a lot of rappers from Houston, actually. Viper
Well,
is one of them, yeah.
Viper's one
there's
of them.
not
yes.
as many good rappers from New England. So
Really anything, you know.
That's all. Except beer.
Or,
I'm
yeah, I
going
guess,
to give beer to them.
Marky Mark and the Funky
I'd say
Bunch.
clam chowder.
Yeah, clam chowder. Yeah, they do have the best clam chowder.
Chowder.
Doing.
Was
Yeah.
the Funky Bunch also Boston based, or was that just Marky Mark?
I assume that they all were together. You know, they are probably from the same place.
They probably visited Boston at one
They were
point.
either from the same place or just
Yeah.
They're from Boston, okay.
I feel like there was a real moment for white hip hop in Boston a little while back. But
White.
anyway,
Were you assuming that was not going to be like the hip hop would not be white?
in
I mean, they
Boston,
have the. I feel like
It's not just white people in Boston. It just feels like it.
It's just all the people in
Fair enough.
positions of power.
Yeah. Anyway,
Fair enough.
Oh, incidentally,
Touche.
a shout out to some people in the Twitch chat. We had JNooms96. We had I saw John Glubney69 up there. We saw Lauren TJ Hooker as well.
we
Yeah,
don't need to shout out to John Glubney.
we can. He's a
appreciate
great
you
Yeah.
feature.
tuning in.
We appreciate his presence.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's like the way I
right.
appreciate, the flu virus being active. Is like I appreciate its presence.
Yeah, thins the herd. Thins the herd.
Right.
You know, if we had no flu virus, we just have all these weak individuals walking around. You know.
Yeah.
all these immune systems that don't get virus updates.
Yeah.
That's just bad.
But I got Norton. They all say.
Yeah,
I got the Norton vaccine.
Oh, no. That's not.
You
very
don't want to
effective
get
at all.
that. But that's the future of how these vaccine companies are going to do this stuff. You know, in the future, we're going to see like you get your vaccine when you get your body.
Your
maybe.
annual-
That's how a lot of these work.
Your annual antivirus
It's a chip
subscription.
Yeah.
that you're gonna you basically take out the old chip and then put in a new one,
And then you
you're
get
updated.
But you can't get rid of
reminders
it.
every
Yeah, you
once in
got-
a while to upgrade your service.
And you have to pay on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, subscription
it's-
model, of
It's
course.
basically a virus itself. In fact, that's how the new vaccines are going to work in the future. I think they're working on this technology already at Pfizer and a couple other companies. But the vaccine is just a virus. You know, it's a virus that infects you, and then it'll kill the other viruses. But itself, it actually functions a lot like a virus, similar to Norton.
That's actually not. Well, there's actually some viruses that are or there's a lot of. Oh my god, sorry, I'm trying to There's some study or. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say this super wrong. There's some sort of.
We won't be able to
treatments- No, it's okay. There's treatments out there that are actually based on creating viral man-made manufactured viral protein and stuff to
Yeah, that's what
infect
the,
certain cancer cells and stuff and destroy
That's
them.
what the lab at Wuhan was working on, I believe.
Oh my god.
We're gonna get canceled by Neil Young over vaccine misinformation.
God damn it.
I'm trying to get Neil Young to remove all of his content from Twitch.
Hey, any publicity is good publicity.
Who's pro Jared?
Who?
Ooh, if you don't know, you're in a better place for not knowing.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is either.
I have no idea.
There it is. Yeah.
That's
Only Alex knows.
confused. Yeah. I'm not going to elaborate. I'll just say, good for the person, I guess, but it's a shame what happened. He really dug a hole for himself.
Very
There's
mysterious.
a lot of
What's with people named Jared and
yeah, diddly kids. Yeah, I want to say it's coincidence, but it almost isn't. It's
I
really
mean, to
weird.
be fair, if you were named Jared, there's not a lot you could do with your life.
I mean, I knew I had
Probably
a
get bullied.
classmate named Jared back in elementary school. He was fine.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
What was that diamond store? Was that called Jared?
Jared,
Yes.
the gallery.
Oh my god.
He went
Yeah.
to Jared.
He went to Jared. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the that store had any issues with children.
Jared's not a super popular name these days.
Maybe they're the ones.
I mean, they would
Yeah, I mean,
use
since
like
Subway
their
guy.
the Jared's diamond jewelry store. Like their ads would almost often have like a dad and the kid like trying to get something together so that he proposed
Damn.
to the.
Oh, Jared Jewelry is hit with discrimination allegations. Okay, interesting.
Back in 2017, before it was cool to be sexist in the workplace. Damn.
Yeah.
It's always been cool.
Yeah.
It's always been
Wait,
cool,
wait,
but it
wait,
hasn't
hold on.
been, headline grabbing.
No.
Yeah.
Look, if Mad Men taught me anything,
If anything, it's,
It's always
less cool
been-
now.
Oh yeah, every kiss
Always
begins with
been
K. That's another one.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, I think we've about exhausted this topic.
I think so. Okay, I have written down here molecular mimicry. What is that in reference to?
Yeah, I put that on because I was thinking about it a lot, and then I just started to realize that I don't know if this entire topic can actually be talked about in this podcast, because I think if I explain, people always be like, okay, fine, like why do you care? I was just thinking about it because I think it's like probably the most crazy and like fucked up things like I've ever learned.
Well, you got to say it now.
Yeah, no,
you
I
have
hyped
to.
it up. I hyped it up. I'm sorry, but yeah, basically, this was not. Sometimes we make mistakes, okay, and everyone.
Everybody has
this
those
is
days.
everybody has those days. But yeah, basically, we were learning about like why like fetuses die. It's because of like fourth trimester abortions that are funded by Joe Biden. But no, but in all
Fourth
seriousness-
trimester.
Yeah, like after birth abortions.
Okay.
I think
No,
that what's his name? The utilitarian philosopher.
Bentham,
No, modern.
the other one.
Peter.
Oh, I know who the fuck you're talking about.
No, the vegan guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Singer. Yeah.
Peter Singer. He was a big advocate for postpartum abortion
Interesting.
Okay.
because he said that babies aren't conscious.
That's wrong. But anyways, that is factually incorrect. But
Wait,
yeah,
what's the
basically,
factual consciousness? How do you determine that?
ability to perceive stimuli and ability to.
Well,
have
how
pain
can
and
you tell
suffering.
if someone is perceiving something or just reacting to it reflexively?
I mean, reflexes are still like a response to stimuli.
So are all animals conscious?
Pretty.
And some plants, a lot of plants also. They react to stimuli.
Hello to Mick97, Irish Collins Country. Hello from Ireland. How's it going?
I just think that when people say conscious, it generally involves more than reacting to stimuli.
Yeah, I think generally the consciousness definition is having an inner life and like thought process, and that's something that's pretty impossible to prove. So we can just give
Right.
our best guess.
Yeah.
Right, but if you say that the babies are conscious because they react to stimuli, that would also hold for, like I said, all animals and plants. I don't know about all plants, but a lot of plants as well, and fungi and all kinds of things.
But I'm willing to go along that path based on also the fact that there are many plants and animals that we as humans in a society do not treat the same way that we do other humans based on different interpretations of that.
Probably what Peter Singer was doing is just doing a vegan troll, where he's like,
yeah, that's what I think.
Again, and we're spending more time on this than
No, he was
did when
he
coming
was
up with it.
he was seriously proposing that in many cases that it may be more moral to have a postpartum abortion
oh, interesting.
than to allow the baby to survive and grow.
What an interesting person. Anyway, molecular mimicry. What was
Yeah,
that?
I mean, lovely guy. Yeah, exactly. Jesus fucking Christ.
Correct.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I've never been a pure totalitarian for a lot of reasons. I think, like in general, obviously doing things that are for the benefit of multiple people is very important, and at large. But yeah, Peter Singer fucking sucks, and yeah, he.
I mean, you can't just say because you don't like the conclusions of his arguments that his arguments are wrong.
Sure, I can.
That's sort of like the point of doing philosophy is that you want to.
I'm okay with just saying that
things.
he's wrong and that's
Sure.
a bad opinion. And I don't mind being controversial here. Just be like, that's bad and that's wrong. Like not everything's morally gray. You know what I mean? We could just be like, that
Goes
shit's
against
fucked
it.
up.
Let's.
I'll stand by that. I'm fine standing by that opinion.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with molecular mimicry?
Damn. Thank you for your interest, Alex, in such a subject.
I want to know.
Now you're okay. So basically,
Tell the people at
it's
home.
kind of like what tell the people. It's like what it sounds like. So basically, there's okay. I'm going to use the most common example, which is strep. So strep throat. Like, why did you get antibiotics for strep throat growing up? Because you had this like bacteria that lived in your throat, right? So the actual biggest reason that people get antibiotics for that is because it can lead to something called rheumatic fever. A lot of times, a lot of these infections can be called what's self-limiting, meaning that they go away on their own. They actually don't really, make your symptoms shorter. Even there's actually been really interesting studies. But the main reason you actually get antibiotics is to stop rheumatic fever. So rheumatic fever, it's like you can get a bunch of fucked up shit to happen. One of the fucked up shit to happen is that your heart valves get all fucked up from the bacteria, and the reason why is because it secretes a protein that looks a lot like heart valve tissue. Ooh. And so in response to the protein, your immune system's like, well, fuck this protein. We're going to destroy this fucking shit. And then it says, oh, your heart valves are also the protein. So then it's like, well, we're going to fuck up this shit as well. And I just we re-reviewed it the other day, and I can't stop thinking, just like, basically the way of its manipulation is just being like, all right, we're just going to put in some shit and that shit's going to get fucked up, because it's going to basically mimic something else.
Interesting.
I just found it fascinating, but honestly, I don't know why I put this down because I don't know what conversation there is to be had about that. But
yeah, no, it's a bit like you find a pattern and you apply it as this specific thing is bad and something that seems like that thing is also bad. Let's destroy it. I feel like that happens other cases as well.
Yeah, it's called cancel culture.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
And that is called a callback.
Yep.
Can you provide an example of the molecular mimicry argument of cancel culture that you just made?
Yeah, so people will say, this happened with Trump a lot, and they said, people who are like that are homophobic, so Trump is homophobic.
or people who have large crowds at big rallies must be a Trump-like populist. Therefore, Bernie Sanders is Trump. I think is something that was said a lot by some centrists.
that was said a lot. I think I recall that David Brooks article.
So it's a very loose or a variation on the guilty by association.
Not even by association, but by similarity. If
guilty by similarity was a thing,
there is a fallacy for this that says that if things are alike in one sense, they are alike in another sense, which is not necessarily connected.
It's like I remember just like very centrist friend just being like, oh, if you go so far left, you just end up being far right again.
Horseshoe theory.
Just what?
It's called horseshoe theory, is where
It's true.
But horseshoes don't actually connect.
Well, they get closer.
They do, but they don't connect.
Yeah.
Well, so,
It's not circle
If
theory.
you have if you have a circle and your middle starts at the very top of the circle and then the horseshoe is on the very bottom, the theory is once you get very far in one direction, the horseshoe comes all the way around to the other.
But why would the
far end.
horseshoe come all the way around? Because it ends. The horseshoe stops. And
It just gets closer.
The part of the horseshoe
Then the
that
other
stops
middle
is
part.
the part that
Yeah.
not moderate.
But I think the part that's closest to itself is the center part. So, when it's coming back around, it's getting closer to the center.
Yes, but it's on the opposite pole that you don't see because you're on the very top of the circle.
I don't know. I think the horseshoe metaphor is a bad metaphor. Is what I'm saying.
So the top. If we're talking about the top, is the center, right? Mm-hmm. You say upwards.
So upwards is centerwards.
Is centerwards, yeah.
Okay.
So when you get more radical, you're going down, regardless of whether it's left or right.
And there's this invisible middle space that the horseshoe never touches.
Right.
That is
Yes.
the least centrist, but the most both left and right. and they get closer at the tips
Right.
of the horseshoe,
which is just pure
but they never
radicalism.
quite
Yes.
touch.
Yeah, that's just revolutionaryism.
Yes.
whether
Yeah.
without a
It's-
sense of what
Yeah, you're
anything to
trying
put
to
things
visualize
in place.
the like 2-dimensional graph with a horseshoe.
Yeah,
Sure. I could.
but the
see
two-dimensional graph is also not real.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
condoning or putting support behind that.
It's based on the
interpretation.
Nolan chart, which was created by people calling themselves libertarians in order to propose that their view is the correct one.
I think this was made by Big Horseshoe to sell more horseshoes.
I mean, they're not that big.
I mean, I think
Horseshoes.
there's not as many horses these days. People aren't able to sell their horseshoes, and they just needed horseshoe.
And thank you for
Yes. Shout out to Jamie for pulling this up.
thank you to Learning TJ Hooker for sending us the bird with a big ass model of the political spectrum.
This is fucking awesome.
This is
Holy
beautiful.
Shit.
Yeah. I think this is much more accurate.
Yes. Oh, wait. There's something at the top by the
Oh,
beach.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
go for the- I put
I put Anprint here. Wow.
Yeah, see, the thing that people need to realize is that none of these are real things, right? Like,
Okay.
Third Way Nebula, aka Scandinavian model.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Anarchism, or communism splits off into.
Sorry, I was
Alright.
talking to my
Is
beer.
this
The centrism is the butt. That's the thing.
I was gonna say it's,
That's definitely accurate.
okay, but you don't know what part of the butt. You know, you have like the anus. You
I
know, you
believe
have
that was
urethra.
the anus.
It's way too far up the butt.
It's way too far.
No, it
up.
has big cheeks. That's just
They're very
the
clappable.
anus.
I mean, that- is it wrong to question whether the cheeks are clappable based on what the cheeks are?
It's a bird, so that would be bestiality. So yes, it is wrong.
Okay. Good to know.
There's also that, so that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
I feel like somehow this comes back to the fact that pee is stored in the balls, but I'm not sure how yet.
Yeah. We'll get to the pea stored in the balls thing at some point.
I think we will.
I think that's one of the topics we have coming up.
Birds do have cloacas. That's a very good point. I don't know how to pronounce that. J.
that's,
Newton's 96.
Yeah.
We've talked about this
We
before.
have talked about
Cloaca,
this.
yeah.
They pee and poop and fuck with the same hole. Yeah.
Good
Some
for
people
them.
do that too, but we don't want to.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about that.
Well, I mean,
That's outside the scope of this show.
You can poop and fuck with the same hole, but like, I don't know if you can pee out of that same hole.
I don't want to be the one defending with.
Okay.
All right, let's go on to the next topic.
Sure.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to get that blue. I guess I don't
All
know.
right.
Okay.
Molecular mimicry in science.
Yes.
You know?
We've closed that off.
We were.
Did
Yeah.
not know that I was
You
going
see-
to learn today. So
Do you
thank
see what happens when we
anytime.
talk about science on this show?
That's a good point. So right before the show, we were discussing how how certain video games are not aptly titled. For example, The Legend of Zelda, which is mostly about Link.
Yes. Well, the main playable character in the Legend of Zelda video game is in fact Link and not Zelda, like you thought it was when you were 8 years old.
Yeah, it's a big problem, and it's not just a problem with video games. It also applies to movies and books. For example, one book that I think has a clearly inappropriate, not applicable name is the Anabasis of. It's just called
Xenophon.
the Anabasis,
Yeah.
which is written by a man named Xenophon.
Yeah.
And it referring to the march up country, which is
right.
what a common translation of Anabasis is. But the actual march up country takes up, probably about a tenth of the book as a whole.
I've also
And
heard
then-
it called the March of the 10,000.
Well, yeah, but that's not a direct translation of the original title,
I see.
which is the Anabasis. It is about the 10,000 Greek mercenaries that go with Cyrus the Younger in an attempt to take the power of the Persian Empire away from his brother. But then Cyrus dies in the battle, and the mercenaries are stranded. Their generals are killed, and they spend the rest of the book trying to get down country, right? So it's kind of a poor title. And then it was, repeated later when a man named Arian, about 400 or 500 years later, I think, wrote the Anabasis of Alexander, which is about the rise to power of Alexander, which is more appropriately named in a metaphorical sense.
Yeah.
But also a much worse book.
Okay. Yeah,
So yeah,
There's a lot of badly named stuff out there.
there is.
Like, there has not been any wind on this show.
That's true. Don't even have the wind cover over the mic.
No, we don't. Because I'm using a different mic than last week, and the windscreen I have does not properly fit
And
over
we have
this
the
one.
blinds closed to the city, so there's no city involved.
There's no
really.
city, and we are not on the radio.
I mean, we are in a city.
We are in a city.
We are in a city. We are not on the radio.
Yes.
That's correct.
It's like basically a podcast is a lot like the radio.
It's very similar. Yes.
Close enough.
Unless
So just because they have
radio-
similar features means that they're the same.
Well, it depends on what you mean by radio, right? If you mean just like a primarily audio focused format of transmitting people talking to other people into their homes, then I think it is radio. But if you're thinking of radio as actual radio waves, it's not radio.
And I think you could also interpret oftentimes a Twitch stream is something that you're consuming and either listening or watching to, but it's not your primary sort of focus of your attention, just like someone would have a radio on in a house or a car or something.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
would-
not
yeah.
being the main thing.
But I think this is the main thing for a lot of our listeners and viewers.
I mean, I like the idea that someone just has this on in the background while they're doing laundry, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
I like the idea that they just are doing laundry in the background while they're.
That's true. If I'm doing laundry, the
being a
laundry is the
responsible
background.
adult, and I can appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I'm paying
I mean-
less attention to the laundry than I am to what I'm listening to.
That's true. For me, it's the opposite. Like when I'm doing my laundry, I'm paying more attention to the laundry and less to Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm paying
I mean,
zero
that's a
attention
good
to
call
Joe
on your
Rogan when
part,
I'm doing
yeah.
my laundry because I'm probably not listening to Joe Rogan.
that's fair.
Even when I'm not listening to him, though, I am paying him a little attention.
That's the case of many people.
Wait,
He's got a nice little corner
So,
of my
Alex,
mind,
are you
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that Joe Rogan lives in your brain rent free?
No, he pays rent.
Okay. So you are in that case his landlord.
I suppose you could say
Yes,
that.
a person of land. Yeah.
Well, it's in my mind. I imagine land,
see.
and Joe Rogan pays me to live there.
So you are a rentier of the mind.
Yeah, I have a metaverse properties available for purchase in my mind.
I mean, you could very well be a literal landlord. Like, I got a YouTube ad for a program where in Scotland you could purchase physical
That's
land.
that's not real though.
I mean, no, it's not, but it's also
They
like,
say
it's
that.
going to like Forest Conservatory.
They say that you buy like a square foot of land in Scotland and become a lord, but that's not
They
true.
don't, like,
they
go
don't
out-
actually have the land. Yeah,
Yeah, they don't like
I
go
assume
to
so.
a spot in land and be like, "This is this person's land."
Yeah, no,
we
no.
see that.
Yeah, you can't like build something on that land.
Of course not. But it was going towards reforestation and conservatory. So my assumption was they use that square foot of land to plant a tree.
I'm guessing they just have a bunch of land with trees on it, and they finance it by
Yeah.
doing this gimmick.
By like selling fake titles
Yeah.
to people.
And yes, also
Which is a
by hook or by
a very old scam, by the way. Fake titles have been sold for millennia.
Yeah.
yeah, like that,
our favorite Nigerian princess.
or our favorite streaming service, Fake Title.
I don't think that's our favorite because we're not broadcasting on it. I think we prefer
yeah.
the ones that we broadcast on, and also we prefer Spotify because it doesn't have Neil Young on it.
Ah, there's another callback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have.
I want Neil Young or someone to complain about not Joe Rogan but Van Morrison
That's what I'm
with
talking
his
about.
anti-vax.
Because they could take Van
statements.
Morrison off.
Yeah,
That would be less of a problem.
exactly.
Or Eric Clapton or whatever.
Did he do an anti-vax thing?
He did an anti-vax.
Well, he
Yeah,
also
his-
did things that were a little worse
I'm
than
not
that. I
surprised.
think.
I'm just disappointed.
That's true.
There's
Yeah, I
been-
guess you get the ball rolling on this. You get a lot of those musicians off of there, huh?
Yeah, it turns out
Yeah, you're trying to set a trend. I think.
musicians are not necessarily people that we need to be looking up to for their moral character.
but then again, yeah.
People making good
Yeah.
music and being morally good not necessarily connected. Shocking. So does that mean that we have to, stop listening to the music of people that do something more?
We listen to podcasts instead, like this one.
Do we have to stop listening to podcasts of people who do things morally wrong like us?
Nah.
What are you implying?
I just think that all humans are flawed.
Yeah.
Morally and in
Some are
other
more
ways.
flawed than others.
And so
Yeah,
if you
that's
want
for
Shout out
fucking-
Joe Rogan.
if you want to
Shout out to Joe
stop
fucking
engaging
Rogan.
with content that comes from flawed individuals,
Then
you
stop
you
watching
need to
this.
Stop engaging. You need to stop engaging in content
Sorry
altogether.
to break this.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, so we have one topic. We have one topic left on the docket, and this is a general question for everybody. What animal are you most scared of, and why?
Human.
I was going to say, man. Absolutely,
Man is the animal.
man is the animal.
Angels are mathematical.
All right, we're going to disqualify humans from being an answer choice. Be more creative.
Aww. But I don't know if I don't fear any other animals.
Am I most?
Homunculi, then.
I know
I'm actually
my
pretty scared of homunculi.
What are those?
Homunculus is like a man-made living thing that resembles humans in some sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Well, we have Mick 97 Irish Collins Country that says snakes and
I
spiders.
don't
Do you
think you
want
can
to
say that.
What?
I don't think you can say that. He's reclaimed the term, but I don't think you, as a non-Irish,
As a non-Irish, yeah.
Oh,
say
sorry. I was just trying to say this.
It's a quote. You're fine.
This person's username. Oh no, am I getting canceled? Is this it? Fuck. God damn it.
Another week.
I knew. Okay, look.
Sorry
look.
to break this to you,
I just
Another
turned-
week, another
I just
cancellation.
turned 27 like a couple weeks ago, and there's a 27 club, right, where a bunch of people died. I didn't realize it would be social death versus
social
shit.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
It's the
No, I
21st
can,
century
I
internet.
Okay,
can
sorry,
say
Michael. So Michael put in the chat. Can you explain why you're afraid of snakes and spiders? That's valid. I'm just.
Snakes and
I
spiders.
want to.
That's a much less fun board game than the Snakes and Ladders.
Yeah.
Or shoots and
Shoots
ladders.
and ladders.
Shoots and
Snakes and
spiders.
Shoots and spiders.
Oh, snakes and ladders. Wait. What about snakes on the plane? Snakes and
That's-
spiders.
I'm tired of that. I'm not.
Yeah. I'm tired
Snakes,
of these.
I do like snakes on a plane
this
of existence. Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyways,
What's your animal?
because my animal is fucking mosquitoes because they fucking spread disease like no other.
Malaria.
Yeah, another bloodborne is like West Nile
They make the
virus. That's
air
just no
bad.
joke.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, West Nile virus was actually the butt of many jokes, but okay.
I mean, that's true. But I just like they have such a because it's like they can basically bloodborne illnesses, right? Like, can definitely be contracted in many ways, but it's kind of like it's a little different than something that's airborne. Like you can take certain precautions, but with mosquitoes, I mean, they bypass that, and I think mosquitoes can really do a lot of shit that scares the shit out of me.
I was watching, just looking at some cartoons about
Looking
West
at
Nile virus.
all right, what
Shout out to 2003.
Man, a joke about SARS also. Wow, man. Gotta bring that back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I'm all ready. Actually, I'm all ready for that. Oh, huh?
The West Nile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Y2K stars in West Nile.
Yeah. No,
Oh, is that a New Yorker one right there?
my parents had a basement that had was our pantry, and they still call it the Y2K bunker. It's a good time. But I think in terms of animals that I'm most scared of, I feel like I don't have a great answer for this, honestly, because it really depends on context, right? I feel like if I'm out in the woods, right, I'm going to be most scared of oh shit, there's a mountain lion or something,
Yes, Mom.
But if I'm just walking down the, actually, you know what? If I
Lions
was
are actually not that dangerous.
but they are scary.
Just don't mess with them. Not a lot of people die by lions.
Sure. I don't think this is statistically. It's weird to say what are you afraid of or what are you fearful of, and then apply statistically like
Sure.
what numbers
Yeah.
is
I
what
guess
statements to
if
it.
one was
Right. The
like,
question doesn't have to do with statistics.
if
It has
one
to
was
do
right in
with,
front
emotion.
of me, I would say hippopotamus, absolutely, because they're very dangerous, right?
and they're imposing also.
Yeah, yeah. And if there's like a
Imposing, yeah.
hippopotamus on the street of Chicago that was right in front of me, I'd be like,
man.
oh my God, I got to go turn the other
That's
way.
a nightmare right there.
Yeah.
They go fast too. They can run faster than you think.
But in general, like what I'm scared of animals in my daily life, like I don't really know.
Big dog.
Mosquitoes.
Big dog.
I mean, I think I was like 6 years old, and I had a neighbor's dog bite me. And it wasn't like, feral. It didn't have rabies or anything like that. It was just misbehaving. And I'm not
Mean dog.
scared. Yeah, just a mean old dog.
I got bit by dogs,
scared
yeah.
of dogs now. So luckily it
Yeah,
hasn't stuck
same.
around.
Yeah, I got bit by dogs and cats and hamsters.
Yeah,
guinea pigs.
I was stung by a bee when I was like 7, I think. Yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I,
Yeah,
um,
it looks like Michael had experience secondhand with a poisonous spider. That sounds really terrible. And a snake bite firsthand. Yeah, so that's pretty good reasons.
Yeah, and you ever be
It fucking sucks. I'm
hear about
sorry.
Australia, man? They got the massive and the tiny, very venomous spiders.
Australia's just a curse. I
Snakes
don't
and-
know.
Tasmanian
Where do we begin?
devils.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Hyrax.
wasn't necessarily my scariest experience, but I do remember my genuine fright at the time of taking a lawnmower over a wasp nest. Not
Oh,
on
yeah,
purpose.
That
but
sounds
accidentally,
pretty
and
scary.
just-
Yeah, wasps. Yeah, but
I
we said
got
no
some-
humans, so wasps are.
Yeah, wasps are pretty.
that's
Yeah.
That's true. Also, it was my
But,
fault, to be fair. So.
Yeah.
Take a lawnmower to a wasp.
That's not good.
Agreed. Totally.
Wasps love their lawnmowers.
Yeah. And also, I'm afraid of those ticks where if they bite you, they cause you to become allergic to red meat. Yeah.
What about the Lyme disease?
Lyme disease?
Some ticks give you a lot of ticks.
Yeah,
Actually,
Lyme
give you
disease
Lyme
actually really
disease.
It's
fucking
more
sucks.
common,
Yeah.
in fact.
Yeah, it's quite common. There's
I picked a lot of
talked to
ticks off
people
my
who
body in my day.
Oh, you know
talked
what?
to
I
someone who
was
had Lyme disease. Got it from
Wikipedia
ticks.
stalking Avril Lavigne the other day, and she had fucking Lyme disease. Like, it's
Avril
like-
Lavigne
yeah,
has Lyme disease.
had because she got treated.
Not chronic Lyme.
Well, she did have chronic Lyme, but then you can still treat chronic Lyme. I mean, to be fair, obviously there's
Not
like,
everyone
damage
has
and stuff.
chronic Lyme. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, but it seems like she had it for a long time.
Thanks to the miracles of modern medicine.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the celebrity is going to get it cured, but like a lot of regular people don't have that opportunity.
That's true.
Like Magic Johnson, he got cured of AIDS, but a lot of people still have AIDS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I appreciate the sports reference.
All right.
Okay, so that's all the topics.
Any wild card topics?
Any wild cards?
I want
cheating at trivia.
cheating at bar trivia. I
Like,
just want to take a moment to say that it's a game that people play for fun. The stakes aren't very high. There's just no reason to cheat.
That's right.
no, but I would say, I'm going to play devil's advocate. But, like, today, today, like, there was actually really good, there was, like, a lot of money on the line. It was, like, over
I mean, I wouldn't say a
$1,000
lot.
for the
A
winning
lot of
Jeep.
money. It was exactly $1,000, I believe,
For the
Yeah.
top prize and
For
other
the-
prizes
for
down
the
line.
top team. Yeah, for
Yeah.
but
That's
like,
a pretty good fucking motivation to cheat if you're going to fucking do it.
So then I would, as a outsider perspective, I would question what was in place or lack thereof to deter said cheating.
Well, they took everyone's phones
At the beginning.
at the beginning,
At the beginning, yeah.
and never gave them back.
So then I would argue, was there intent on cheating, or do we have
What evidence is
knowledge
there
of-
for cheating?
We don't know there was. We don't know. We just heard that there was an investigation into potential cheating from one of the top teams.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get all big brained about this because, this is my
brain.
time.
Wrinkly
Once a
brain.
week. But
What time is now?
it is
Your time is
10:08
up. My
PM.
time is now.
So basically, it's sort of like the theory of like, okay, so people, let's say, college kid cheats on a paper, right? Like, that's because, it's usually the theory within like academia or like the way that's treated is like that person is just a bad person, right? Like, bad person who's just lazy, wanted to cut corners,
Deserves
whatever.
to be killed.
Totally. Yeah. You know,
Deserves. Emphasis on deserves. We are not
Yeah.
calling for violence.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with people. You know, a lot of guys that when they cheat on their wives.
all right, going back to my example, but I think like what I would genuinely argue is like, you know, like cheating does not happen in a vacuum, right? And like, yeah, there's a
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
people who, you know, like might be tempted for one reason or another. But for example, like if you,
Maybe if she vacuumed more, there would be less cheating.
So why is he cheating on his wife
All
with
right.
a vacuum? That just doesn't seem right at all.
Well, because the vacuum does something that she doesn't do.
all right, I was gonna explain more, and I just that got
Sorry,
so
I just
derailed.
wanted to come to the
I
defense.
thought we were
of
talking
it,
about trivia.
No, but basically, it's like, you know, like why does somebody
It
cheat?
happens
Well,
in
it's because like there's an incredible pressure, right, to get like certain grades, to be able to get a certain job, to be able to get to, you know, a certain
To win bar
graduate
trivia.
Bar
win a
trivia.
thousand
trivia, yeah, exactly.
No, but to go to graduate school, so it's kind of like, or
go
and
to
then
the
this sort of
playoffs
like
in
relates to
trivia.
larger theory about crime of like, you know, like why do
Make it
people
to
steal
the
things? you
regional
know? Like a lot
trivia
of the
contest,
times,
and then
I mean, not all the time, but like a lot of times, like stealing, you know, I mean, for some people, maybe it is fun, right? So I'm not trying to say that like that doesn't
Yeah,
exist
stealing
at all,
is fun.
but
Stealing's a good time.
but I'm talking about like, you know, somebody's like
an adrenaline rush.
somebody's hungry and they steal food, you know, and then they get, but it's like basically what I'm trying to say is like looking
Yeah,
at
it might-
crime within context and understanding it is like a larger social pressures that create crime versus individual actions.
Right, like it's not.
And therefore,
a lot of
cheating at bar trivia is fine.
people
Bryce, no,
people
I'm
wouldn't
kidding.
people wouldn't find it a problem. Oh, some people probably would, but a lot of people would be sympathetic to the perspective of someone who's stealing bread to feed their family, right? Well, what if their family doesn't want bread? What if their family wants lots of money?
What if, or what if they're on the keto diet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're stealing lots of money
the
to
money diet.
feed their family money.
Yeah.
But
there's some nutritional value in the dollar bill, I'm sure, right?
at the same time,
where some of these dollar bills have been, you know, probably.
but I would counter because like there's, I mean, and you know, I'm not even citing specific research. I remember there was like something I was some lecture I was watching where it was like talking about negative attitudes towards houseless folks. But like that's a really, it's like another example of like, you know, like there's like the just world hypothesis, the idea that people who houseless and stuff, like they must have done something wrong to deserve that because we live in a just world, right? Where people do X, Y, Z and the consequences X, Y, and Z and it lines up. Versus the reality is like, you know, people are, you know, being hurt by an incredibly violent system.
Yeah, nobody really own, like we have things called home ownership, but with the HOAs and the government, you're not really the owner. You know, you can't really do what you want with your house. So no, we're all really without houses when you think about it.
In some cases, I'd say you can do more than if you live in like a large like condo or an apartment complex.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to do, you know, what you actually want.
I mean,
No, but
like,
for real, for context, look up just world hypothesis on like Wiki. It like explains the whole thing. Another one is with sexual assault. Like, well, you know, like somebody or like other victims of violent crime. It's like somebody must have deserved that, right? Because we live in a just world.
So the
But
Wikipedia
I totally
entry
do not agree
says
with that.
everything happens for a reason. Redirects here.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I think that people would do well to read Homer, the ancient Greek poet, because the tragic approach to morality and to understanding the world is to say the gods are arbitrary. The world is arbitrary, is petty, and it cares not for human feelings or human actions so much. And in the cases in which it does care, the care is quite arbitrary itself. And so the only thing left to do is to meet these upheavals in fortune with a noble spirit, and understand that the gods who are playing dice with our lives are not just.
The dice are
Loaded?
inconsiderate. Well,
And
not necessarily loaded.
the-
Generally speaking,
yes,
they
loaded,
are, but
yeah.
not always.
The
dice are drunk as fuck.
The
Anyone
most
read
of
The
all the
Dice
things
Man?
that
Have I ever read The Dice Man?
breathe or crawl on
The
this
Dice.
earth, The most wretched of all is man, for he is aware of his position.
Yeah. That's why man is the animal that I'm most scared of.
Man is the animal. Angels are mathematical.
Manimal.
That's
Animals.
the line.
Yeah, Manimals would be an interesting yogurt drink.
Yeah, coil out.
Go-gurt and Manimals.
It's just different varieties of man upon the
Pull up the Dice Man Cometh.
The Dice Man.
the Dice Man cometh.
Oh! God.
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay. It's a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant film.
Little boy
about,
Blue. He needed
brilliant
the money.
satire.
Oh!
We have to be careful about copyrighted content on
That's
this
true.
as well, though.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Saved for viewing later.
Yeah. No, I think, gambling is fine as long as you're one of the gods gambling with human lives.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Have any of you watched a movie called The Seas of Jadoville
Sure
on
haven't.
Netflix? I've not.
I don't have
No?
Netflix. I don't use Netflix. I'm boycotting Netflix.
Is it because of Joe Rogan?
Is he on Netflix?
I think some of his specials are.
I was doing a circle around to a previous.
No,
Yeah, I think
I-
at least one of his specials are on Netflix. His stand-up.
I'm sure he has specials.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I see.
Oh.
Besieged by overwhelming enemy forces. Oh, okay.
Whoops.
Was it Irish Republicans? Is that what it is?
Irish abroad, I believe.
Yeah, I think
We don't need to see the login info, Jamie.
I think the biggest thing that I have about the IRA is like, when is it supposed to be a standard IRA and when is it supposed to be a Roth IRA?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh no, I think sometimes you want the provisional IRA.
Provisional, that's what I was about to say.
So what's that one? What's the difference there?
That's you put the money in pre-tax,
Okay.
right, and then you set off some bombs.
Okay.
Bombs?
Set up some bonds.
Alex, do you
James
think
Bonds.
Margaret Thatcher had girl power?
I do. I think Margaret Thatcher really leaned in.
I think she really effectively utilized
say
girl
Margaret
power,
Gaslight, gatekeep,
funneling
girl
money
boss.
into the.
Yeah. No, but I think
The 3 Gs we all aspire to.
I always
we all aspire.
forget, like, because the Roth IRA
they have
is
5G though.
pre-tax going in, tax coming out, or is it the other way around?
I don't have my tin
No,
hat on, so I'm not
Roth
protecting
IRA is
myself.
taxed going in and no tax coming out.
Okay, that's the one I was told to do and didn't.
And that
do.
you want to do that because the rates are very low right now. So paying the current rates is better than paying the rates in 60 years.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
aware of what Mick's referring to because he's talking about the IRA during the Easter Rising in like 1916, and then the
Yes.
IRA of the.
One of those is the
most recent
provisional
decades.
IRA.
The provisional is
Yeah.
the most recent one, I
Yeah.
believe. I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
yeah,
right.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
talking
recall.
about the one
sorry, I
that
don't
we
recall.
were purposely not talking about.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't recall.
Oh.
I'm looking. This
I'm
up
like the
real quick.
attorney general right here.
I'm
I'm sorry. I
pretty
don't
sure.
recall.
Can we open the link about
Yeah, the provisional
breakdown of,
IRA is
Joe
the
Rogan?
Jamie's on
1970 is the Troubles
It's
one.
okay, Alex.
But
Jamie's
the-
on it.
Yeah, the provisional IRA is the one during the Troubles, and the other one is the Easter Rising one.
What's the other one?
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So that's Yeah. Okay. Totally.
That's old Joe Rogan. He has hair.
Yeah. Stool humping,
Yeah.
which is it's not necessarily what you think it is, but it could also be what you think it is, depending on what you think it is. Because I feel like stool humping could also be a lot of things.
Yeah, we don't need to get into all the things that
I've
that
been
could
thinking
be.
about a lot of things lately.
One of the
How
things
do you
is
know?
stool humping.
It's stool humping.
You gotta stop thinking about that, man. That's not doing you any good.
Anyway,
You're just losing sleep at this point, Alex. Thinking about all these things.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Yeah, I think that about does it. On that note,
On that note, yeah, we've been going for looks like about an hour and 48 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's a good run.
that's
time.
a quality runtime right there.
That is. That was.
Well, that was
Should we
more...
just sit in silence for 2 minutes so make it an hour 50? Or
Nah.
There's not really a good number. We've already passed 69 minutes, so
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna go until the other funny numbers.
No, we're not.
We're not going to get to 420.
Nope. Not gonna happen.
Why is that number funny?
It's Hitler's birthday.
My God.
Columbine number.
That is also the Columbine number, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to end it on that, but you know.
On that note,
On that,
have a nice night, folks.
yeah, on that note, that concludes this edition of Windy City Radio. Thanks for joining us.
Shout out to the chat.
Shout outs to the chat. Woo! All right.